You're listening to the Electrocasts podcast. This is podcast number 9, featuring Croydon, UK-based singer-songwriter Heather, or Strobe Girl. We sat down with Heather to discuss her new music and various notable musical projects she has worked on and will be working on in the future. So welcome to another installment of Electrocasts. This is Jeff, and I'm here with Case, and we're very happy to have this week on Electrocasts Heather. You may know Heather as Strobe Girl. And Strobe Girl, how are you, Heather? Good morning.
I'm good, thank you.
Excellent. Good to have you here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's really exciting.
Yeah. Well, we enjoy it. We enjoy talking to a lot of the people we know through Twitter and SoundCloud about their music, and we're happy to have you on for the next hour. Before we start, Heather, would you just say a word or two about where listeners can find your music?
Yeah, well, I'm on all the social network sites, so Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud. Probably the easiest thing for them to do would be to Google Strobe Girl and see what comes up. But I'm just about everywhere on all the social sites, and my downloads are on Bandcamp.
I would love to know where your artist name comes from. Because, I'm a child of the 60s and the 70s, and strobes were in discos a lot, and they personally made me always very nauseous, but
I have a bit of a reputation for being the last person off the dance floor at any event, dancing under those strobe lights and the mirror balls. So it comes from that, really.
Oh, awesome. So you love to dance.
I do, yes.
Oh, wow. We share that. I still dance. My wife and I do Zydeco dancing, which is a, Louisiana style sort of folk dancing, but it's really upbeat. But dancing is great. It's good exercise, and it makes you very happy.
It does. It gets those endorphins flowing, doesn't it? Makes you happy.
Yes.
Yeah. I was out last night, actually, and I was not going to stay very long, but actually didn't get home till 1 because there was a dance floor and there was music, and I just couldn't help myself.
So, Heather, what got you into music? What got you into wanting to be a musician? And I know you play guitar, I know you play keyboards, I know you sing. Which came first? Did they come simultaneously? What inspired that?
Well, I got my first guitar from my uncle, who was a jazz musician, and that was when I was in my teens, and I learned guitar. So guitar's my first instrument. And I just started writing poetry, and then started putting the poetry to music, I suppose. It's a natural progression, isn't it? So it was sort of lyric writing, and just been writing songs ever since then, really.
Excellent. What artists did you really find inspiration from when you started playing guitar and writing words and songs?
It's quite interesting, actually, because I would say my earliest influences are actually quite folky. So Joni Mitchell and Bob Dylan and Simon and Garfunkel, which was kind of a strange artist for me to really be looking at that time, because the music scene was completely different than that. But I just found the music really inspirational. It was like poetry to music, and I loved that. So I started off with a lot of folky stuff. Yeah. Isn't
it funny how the definition of alternative changes with the music?
It is, yeah.
For you at the time, folk was alternative when everything else was going mad,
It was very punky.
Yeah.
And I was loving folk, but I had that love of punk as well, I think. I've always grasp little bits from all the different musical genres, and then I love mixing it up. I like putting it all together. Yeah.
And you do that well. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I did notice a little bit of a punk influence, and not literally, but sort of underneath your work. Here and there, your harmonies are very Blondie, and Blondie.
Yeah.
And Blondie, was really born out of the punk movement in a way. So can you talk a little bit about particularly your vocal arrangements and your harmonies, which are absolutely stunning?
Oh, thanks so much. Well, yes, Debbie Harry's amazing, isn't she? She's a big hero of mine. And Susie and the Banshees, Susie Sue's another vocalist that I absolutely love. Mm-hmm. And have you heard of a band called All About Eve? Julianne Reagan's got the most superb vocals. Again, kind of some contrast there, but I like that. So they've been influences on my vocal style, I think. So you asked me about my harmonies.
Yes.
Yeah. So I love writing harmonies. I think it's one of the things that I enjoy the most. And are you interested in like the process of how I go about that?
Very much, very much.
I would start with my top line and record a guide vocal for that. And then I decide where I want to put in the harmonies. And basically it's a process of just singing over and over and trying different harmonies until I find some that work well together. Done that a lot with Illustrial. Some of the songs on that album, I think we've got like 5 and 6 part harmonies going on. But I think it adds an interesting depth to the tracks. And I think that's where this sort of folktronica sound comes from, because you're sort of going with the folky harmonies, if you like, but overlaying it over a sort of tougher music sound, electro sound. Yeah, so that's my harmonies.
They almost are the hook in your music. Your songs are very well constructed and they fit in sort of a popular genre in a way. But usually songs have a particular, musical hook. But it seems to me like your vocals are really hooking the listener. And your harmonies are not over the top. They are not like in your face harmonies. They're very subtle.
The way I use my voice comes from the fact that when I started out, I didn't have a lot of money for instruments. And I had an 8-track digital recorder and a guitar and my voice. And I think I used my voice as an instrument, almost trying different things with it to sort of layer up and pad out the song. So I think with a lot of my songs now, some of the songs are carried by the vocals. Some of the newer stuff I'm writing, the music's quite minimalist, and then the vocals are very much carrying the song.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, so...
Can you tell us a little bit when you're coming out with new stuff?
Well, I would say sometime this year. Before the end of the year, I will be getting it out there on SoundCloud and Bandcamp, etc.
So let's talk a little bit about a few of your songs.
Okay.
Overall, and this is just my perception, overall, there seems to be a longing for two worlds, like a fantasy world, a dream world, and then a reality, but a reality that pined for to be better than it is.
Yes, I don't like reality very much. Can you tell from my songs?
Me neither.
I think music's definitely escapism for me, and it's a way that I express, and it's an outlet for hopes and dreams. I do feel a bit like a fish out of water in this world. I feel that I'm quite a sensitive, creative person. I find it hard to deal with the reality of life. Things cut me quite deep, I suppose, and I find it hard to let go of disappointment and hurt. And people are quite fierce, aren't they, these days? And I find that difficult. So, yeah, I'm longing my way out of this harsh world into a nice little dream world, I guess.
So the music is kind of a door for you to enter a place where you can give expression to that?
Definitely. I think it's a way of, as I say, it's sort of self-expression. But I think a lot of people do feel how I feel, because I get emails from people saying that a song's resonated with them, even if it's a sad song, or it does seem to resonate with people. And I think a lot of people don't like reality either. And they would they would rather be doing something else.
Now, that's something that you mentioned in your track Daydreaming, which we're probably going to hear in just a moment. We noticed that you use the collective us in the lyrics, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a solidarity with anybody who's ever felt that way, or you're trying to make it more universal and not quite so specific to you?
No, I think the us there is talking about women as a group. It's my observation on how being a mum and raising a family and juggling work and children, it's a huge challenge that only can really be understood by another person in that situation. So you can temporarily lose the intelligent, creative person you are when you're sort of bringing up children. You lose the person you once were under a pile of nappies and chores and school runs, that kind of thing. So I guess I was thinking about that, but also I had in mind this kind of 1950s housewife thing of them all sort of doing their chores with their perfect makeup on, but kind of wishing that they could have the same rights as men almost. And how difficult it's been for women's rights, and how it is actually still quite difficult now as a juggle, as a woman, if you want to work and bring up a family. So I don't know, there's a lot going on in there. And I think there's a contrast there between the music is quite maybe shiny, happy, but then the subject matter discusses a struggle. But I like doing contrasts, but I think in that song, that shiny, happy music sort of represents that smiley face and that we present to the public, but it's a front, isn't it, to cover up our struggles, and then the lyrics are covering the struggles.
Well, one thing I found interesting, Heather, is that in the chorus for Daydreaming, you know, it's la 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 la, you know, you're which is very interesting, because that is kind of in a way maybe drowning the noise on the outside out, and you know, kind of propels you into the daydreaming, which is kind of maybe a way that you deal with those external pressures, or the way we or women deal with those external pressures in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get back to the contrast you talked about a little earlier, because that contrast is in some of your other songs as well. There is this sort of, well, to me, it feels like you want to say your say, but you do not necessarily want other people to feel bad or guilty about it.
Yeah, because what affects you, I guess, and what is personal to you, you don't want to, as it were, inflict that on someone else. But at the same time, I want to be singing about this as a subject. So it's quite hard, especially dealing with maybe sadder subjects. It's quite hard not to just depress people. So you want to get something across, but you don't want them to listen to your song and think, oh no, that's left me feeling terrible. You kind of maybe want them to feel like I've identified with that and I feel a little bit uplifted, even though the subject matter was close to home, maybe touched on emotions and things like that.
So it allows really for connecting with your experience rather than, you know, making it your own. It is more like you're reaching out to connect. Yeah, definitely. And it does seem to work, because as I said earlier, I do get these emails from people or messages just saying that really hit home, but in a good way. So that's what I like. Yeah, it's very, I think it is a very, it's very you. You know, I see it as a thread in all your music that the style of the music, the gentleness of it, and the beautiful harmonies allow people to connect with the story that you're telling.
Thank you. That's what I try to do, but obviously you never know if that is exactly working, but that is the aim.
So let's listen to Daydreaming. I think that would be wonderful for everybody to hear that now.
Yeah. All right. So we're here again with Heather. She records as Strobe Girl, and we're going to listen to a track of hers called Daydreaming here on Electrocasts.
Sit still, staring out the window. Her body's here, but her mind's elsewhere. Dreaming on a man who would come and save her. Thinking on how her life's unfair. And it gets us through the day. Daydreaming in this way. And it helps us numb the pain of things that just don't change. Na 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 Leaves behind the shouting, gets in her car. She's tied to the domestic so she can't go far. Dreaming on a man who would come and save her. Wishing that she didn't have to go back there. And it gets us through the day. Daydreaming in this way. And it helps us numb the pain of things that just don't change. We try to make it better. We try to stay the same. We try to make it better. What I'm doing today. You're my air, she'll say to him. Please come here, let me breathe you in. You are my hope, you are my spark. You're my light in this endless dark. And it gets us through the day. Daydreaming in this way. And it helps us numb the pain of things that just don't change. We try to make it better. We try to stay the same. We try to make it better. What I'm doing today. Na 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 na
I really like the energy in that track, Heather. I really do.
Thanks so much.
Do you do all the instruments yourself? I know there's an acoustic, there's an electric, there's drums, there's your bass and things like that. And do you play everything yourself, or do you hire session people to come help you out with some of the instruments that you might not feel as comfortable with?
That track is taken from the Strawberry Sessions, which I recorded in London with a producer. Strangely enough, during strawberry season, hence the title. He was actually one of Cyndi Lauper's producers, so it was really good experience working with him. So on that particular track, he did most of the instruments. I played some guitar and did the vocals. So on the Strawberry Sessions EP, it was a combination of my producer at the time, and myself. But for my tracks that I'm recording now, that is all me. I play keys, I play guitar, and I do the programming, MIDI, drums, and all that sort of thing on my tracks. And sometimes a nice friend will help me do a part that I'm struggling with, maybe a drum part or a bass part so I'll collaborate with someone. So it's a real mix. I am capable of doing everything myself, but sometimes it's nice to work with someone else, either to take the pressure off or because it brings something different to the mesh, to the mix, and I really like that.
Yeah, fresh perspective. Yeah. Is that how you got together with Illustrial on Dreamscape?
Yes. Dreamscape was taken from our EP Glitter and Twisted, but Darren heard one of my tracks. It's actually called Touch Your Enemy, and it's on my Reverb Nation page. It's one of the very, very early tracks I did with a Croydon remixer. And he heard this track and really liked it. So he contacted me and asked whether we could work together. And I said yes. But then I have a bit of a reputation for being a perfectionist and a procrastinator, which isn't a good combination. So it's actually quite a long time before we got together, but we did a couple of tracks together, and then it worked so well we decided to do the album. So Dreamscape, I had the music from Illustrial. He sent me several tracks to choose from, and then I decided the ones that I wanted to write to. And sometimes you can just tell from listening to a track what it's going to lend itself to, what subject matter would be good for it, that kind of thing. So I listened through and immediately I thought, this is going to be about another song about dreams, but specifically about dreams this time, not just daydreaming. And I thought, this is going to be called Dreamscape. So I was pondering the lyrics, and then I had a very, very vivid dream. And it was actually exactly as the words are in the song. I was flying over a dark landscape through a really dark sky, feeling the wind on my face. And the funny side to that is that actually when I woke up, I'd been having this dream and the wind actually was blowing on my face because the bedroom window was open. There was a gale. So obviously that had come through in the dream, and I had that feel of the wind on my face. So that's how that kind of came together.
Who are you talking to in Dreamscape?
That is your subconscious talking to you. It's you sort of trying to find out what your dreams are saying to you. Deep. Sometimes they are trying to tell you something, and other times you're just eating too much cheese before bedtime.
Yeah, that's a famous Dickens line, right? When Scrooge woke up and found Jacob Marley in his room, you're just nothing but an underdone potato, or whatever it was, right?
His dreams.
Yeah.
The other great thing about that track is it's got picked up by a television company over here in the UK, and it's being used at the moment. So I'm actually getting royalties for that. So that's been fantastic to have that picked up and used and out there. It's been brilliant.
Congratulations. How did that come about?
Thanks. Well, Darren from Illustrial registered some of our songs with some companies, obviously scouted for use in film and TV, and it actually got picked up through that. So
cool.
The other great thing about that is we recorded it, I think 7 or 8 years ago now, and yet it's still relevant. I think the sounds are still relevant, and obviously it's just been used in something. So it's a kind of, I guess, a lesson in don't give up on your music, because you never know. Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you want to hear that? Let's hear Dreamscape. This is Heather. You know her as Strobe Girl, perhaps, and we're going to hear a track that she collaborated on with Illustrial. This is called Dreamscape on Electrocasts.
Flying in the dark, the wind against your face. I'm talking to you now. I'm talking to you now in your darkened towers, spending all those hours. We're lost in a dreamscape, never to escape from yourself. I'm talking to you now. I'm talking to you now. I'm talking to you now. Will you ever take hold of your life? Caught in this dreamscape. You're not alone in your dream. You're not alone in your dream. Will you ever wake? Will you ever take hold of your life? Caught in this dreamscape. Flying in the dark, the wind against your face. I'm talking to you now. I'm talking to you now in your dream. Will you ever wake? Will you ever take hold of your life? Caught in this dreamscape.
I want to talk a little bit about Heaven today. I love the electric guitar that has this vibrato pulse. And so what made you think of putting that in that song? Because it's a little bit different than some of your other music, although you can clearly recognize it's you, but that electric guitar, gives just a wonderful feel.
That was a Fender guitar, that was. So I took my ideas with me to the producer that I was working with to do the Strawberry sessions. And I just said to him that I was really into that dreamy pop sound at the time. And I said to him, I want all my tracks to sound like a little slice of dreamy pop and to just take people away somewhere. And we were coming up with different ideas, and he tried out some different effects on the guitar. And then he came up with that sound, and that almost there gave us the pointer for where the song was going to go. And I think it worked really well. It was perfect for the song. I think it kind of makes it sound a little bit 60s, but actually the influences for that track were more my sort of shoegaze, dreamy pop.
Yeah.
Kind of Blondie, Susie and the Banshees, Mazzy Star, that kind of thing.
I kind of picked that up too, especially in that track and in Daydreaming. It actually had, to me, sort of an English version of a lot of what came out in the early to mid 90s.
That shoegaze. If I was singing that live, I would be looking at my shoes and singing that song.
Right.
So over here, I guess at that time, we had bands like Lush and Ride. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was definitely the kind of sound that I was going for. Mm-hmm. And also to convey really the feeling of being in love, because the song is a song about the drug of love. And I wanted it to be hypnotic and dreamlike, and a bit like being in love feels, you know, when you're so in love with someone that they only have to look at you or touch your hand and you're just totally gripped by them.
Right, yeah. Touch my hand, my heart beats faster. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So when all you see is that person and you think the ultimate thing is, you know, being with this person, the nirvana, the heaven today kind of thing. So
yeah.
I had more lyrics to that song, but we decided just to keep it really simple. And I think the repetition helps with that kind of, like you were saying, the pulsating repetition, hypnotic. Yeah.
And it made me sort of sing along, you know, it's because the amount of lyrics is very easily within your grasp right away on the first listen.
Yeah.
So can you remember them now? Do you want to sing them?
No.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to pass. Case might do it.
I'm so disappointed. I only agreed to this interview because I was hoping to get a couple more backing vocalists.
So are we moving to Croydon then?
Yeah.
Well, so let's make it official. We're putting a call out through Electrocast for backing vocals for Strobe Girl.
Heather needs a group.
Oh, you've heard about my secret.
Though she is very self-sufficient.
Have you? Yeah.
Do you want to listen to Heaven today? Shall we hear it?
Yes, let's.
Great. All right, a slice of dream pop, multiple generations here. 60s, 90s influence, 70s, early 80s, Susie and the Banshees, Debbie Harry. Everything is in this. So this is Heaven Today by Strobe Girl on Electrocasts.
You touch my hands and my heart beats faster. You touch my hands and my heart beats faster. And I see only you. You touch my hands and my heart beats faster. You touch my hands and my heart beats faster. And I see only you. Take me away, because I wanna know heaven today. You touch my hand and my heart beats faster. You touch my hand and my heart beats faster. And I see only you. Take me away, because I wanna know heaven today. Take me away, because I wanna know heaven today.
My wife and we watch a lot of British TV series here in the United States. They're very popular. And it seems like every time there is some difficulty, like a difficult moment, the Brits go make a cup of tea.
Absolutely, yeah. That is definitely a nod to the British solution to all problems. Even extreme problems or trauma situations, it's kind of like, oh wow, a hippopotamus fell from the sky and crash landed in your garden and destroyed all your prized flowers. It's like, oh well, have a cup of tea.
Right.
Everything will be okay. And like, oh my God, your head's fallen off. Don't worry, have a cup of tea. It'll be fine. That is so chocolate and tea is a pretty good combination. Only probably topped by cake and tea.
Yeah.
Scones, right?
Scones. How do you say it? Scones or scones?
Scones, scones.
Yes.
You say scones.
Well, I'm from Croydon, so we say scones.
Oh, scones.
It's only a degree away from proper sort of Cockney Croydon. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? If you were to go into Croydon, they'd all be talking like this.
So Alice is very obviously inspired by Alice in Wonderland, but what made you choose that as a topic, and is that an allegory to what Case was asking about how a lot of times we'll just put on the kettle and everything will be okay? And
well, Alice is the ultimate saga of a dream, isn't it? Alice in Wonderland. And as we've already talked about, I'm kind of into the whole dreams, daydream, dreamy thing. And I don't really know. I was writing a song with kind of comparing a journey with the Alice journey, and I wanted to bring in some of the aspects from Alice in Wonderland and pair them with modern day life. So we've got the cup of tea and we've got the romance, the love letter. And that's kind of it just happened. I love the Alice in Wonderland story and I love the Tim Burton film. And I knew that I wanted to write something incorporating those things. And I guess it's a Wonderland take on maybe part of my life journey as well.
So, to get back to the tea phrase, you say tea makes everything better. And then what I think is so brilliant about those lyrics is that you come back later and it says romance makes everything better. So,
it does though.
Until the kids are born, then there is no such thing, right?
Exactly. And then you have to write a song like Daydreaming.
Right. Well, then you're back to more tea, really.
But I thought that was a real brilliant twist in the lyrics. When I was listening to Alice, I mean, I'm not in the position to make any suggestions what you should do or could do, but I'm going to anyway.
Okay.
I was thinking like it would make a great musical. It would be, I was seeing a musical. I was seeing like people dressed up in costumes and dancing and singing this. And do you have any aspirations in that direction?
I've never ever thought of that, and you're very unique in that suggestion. No one's ever suggested that to me. But now you come to mention it, maybe we should work on Strobe Girl, the musical.
Yeah.
I think it would be kind of definitely Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
And the Technicolor Daydreaming.
Yeah. Meets the cast from Alice in Wonderland, and then they go for a little stroll with a cast of cats, because I'm quite a mad cat lady as well.
Oh, yes.
So I think we've got a pretty workable plan there.
Yes. So we're going to be your backup singers, and now we're going to be your collaborators on a musical.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You have to do the whole cat face paint for me as well.
It's becoming quite dangerous to do these interviews.
Well, you brought up the subject of musicals,
I did.
Yeah. From a technical standpoint, one of the things I liked about Alice is that you start off with a percussion sort of riff, and it's very lo-fi sounding. The percussion's lo-fi, and when I heard it, I'm like, why did Heather keep the drums so dry? And then boom, it just explodes, and they're like, oh, all right, that was their plan. It's like falling down the hole. It's like trip.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Starts off with the TikTok and then it's the woo, I've fallen down the hole and this is going on and it's all a bit mad.
So Heather, what I noticed in Alice is that there was a sort of a change in your voice. There was more vibrato in it. Not over the top, and I really liked that.
Oh, thank you.
How did you come to using vibrato in your voice?
Well, it wasn't an intentional thing. Do you have X Factor, guys, where you are? Do you know what X Factor is? Yeah. So everyone on X Factor, every singer has a sad little story, don't they, of how they nearly lost their voice. This is mine. So 4 years ago, I had to have surgery to have a lump removed from my throat. And in doing the operation, they had to move my vocal cords. So the surgeon explained to me that I may not be able to sing again, but he said that definitely my voice would be affected by it. And fortunately, I could sing again, so that was good. But it's definitely changed the tone of my voice, and I had to kind of start from scratch again, getting my voice healthy and getting my voice better. But I think it's given me aspects now that I can experiment with that maybe weren't there before. So the voice you hear on the Strawberry sessions and some of the Illustrial stuff, I think is quite different from maybe what you're hearing now. And I think I can do different things with my vocals now. But that could also be just that I've sung a lot more in the time from when I started the Strawberry sessions to where we are now. It's kind of like a 9-year gap. So I've definitely been trying different things with my vocals. So I'm glad you noticed that.
And you've warmed to the changes. You've adapted to the changes well, in your mind.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, it was a scary time, but in a way it makes you appreciate. It definitely makes you appreciate what you actually do have in life, and it's made me appreciate. I feel that music's a gift, and it's something that I'm not going to squander, but I treasure. Yeah.
I think it is, even though it was not a very pleasant experience for you, it maybe there was a gift in there, in that your voice changed, and I found your voice became more interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really like the track Alice, and it really stood out to me. Although it's not over the top; it is subtle, but it just adds it adds something to your voice, and it adds something to the music that I find very attractive. Hey Jeff, why don't you take us to Alice?
So, Heather, Strobe Girl, Electrocast's track called Alice.
Wonderland. The white rabbit said I was remarkably on time. The Mad Hatter said you stole my line. She's madder than me. Now pour the tea. Tea makes everything better, like a warm sweater on a snowy day. And who are you calling a sweater? Said Cheshire with a grin. But to grin is a sin around here. Falling, falling, I am falling down. Falling, falling, I am falling said I was remarkably on time. The Mad Hatter said, look, the weather's fine, shall we dance? I'm in the mood for romance. Romance makes everything better, like a love letter on a rainy day. But my love's gone away and left me on my own, and I don't know if I can find my own way home. Hold me, don't ever let me go. I feel I've fallen too low. Hold me, don't ever let me go. I feel I've fallen too low, 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 low. Hold me, don't ever let go, just hold me now. I fell into my own dark wonderland, and I think I'm still there. Falling, falling, I'm still falling down.
Great. Heather, can I fanboy for a second?
Oh, come on then.
The first track of yours I ever heard, and this is going about a year and a half ago, was Pulling Me Under, and I heard it on SoundCloud. What I found was a song that hit me between the eyes so profoundly, and that was Pulling Me Under. And I just listened to it over and over again. I think I sent you a message on SoundCloud. I said, this is fantastic. And I think that's when you and I just started a conversation about tons of different things. But that song hit me, and I've said this to you and I've said this other places, like the first time I ever heard Led Zeppelin's Baby, I'm Gonna Leave You, which was from their second track on their first album, which was so heavy, but it was acoustic. It was an acoustic song, but it was just so heavy, and it just hit me between the eyes like that.
Well, thank
I just
you.
had to say that. What was going on when you were writing that one?
Well, I think you can tell from the subject matter what's going on in that. In terms of the lyrics, it's a relationship that's started off good, but it's not ended up so good. I think the soft, sort of gentle pulling sound is reminiscent of the fact that you can get this subtle deterioration in a relationship, and you might not even see it coming, but it starts off in this really good place, and then before you know it, you're actually being pulled under. You're a darker version of yourself, or your life seems darker and you lose yourself in that other person. So it's a song about that, how you can be pulled somewhere you don't want to go in a relationship.
It also felt to me, listening to the song, that it was hard for you as the character in the track to fight that being pulled under.
Yeah, well, because definitely when you love someone and you're in a relationship with them, it is very difficult when things start to go wrong. But I'm singing about something from, quite a long time ago. So I think when I'm singing this song, it's like the hurt's actually gone. It's more of an observation. So now I'm able to sing about it and be more detached. And also this song touches a bit on how a memory can be really painful, very painful. And when something happens to you, initially you get that deep biting pain, and it's one of the worst things to go through, but given time and circumstance, you can look back and see things in a more nostalgic way. They lose their hold over you and they become kind of bittersweet memories, and you learn and grow from your pain, and you gain strength from getting through a situation like that. So there's quite a lot going on in that song. It's a bit like a little urban sea shanty, isn't it, in the style?
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to convey that as well, that kind of like, as they're hoisting up the sails, sort of like pulling me under, and there's analogies with, the sea and fighting the sea and that kind of, what's the word, like atmosphere I wanted to convey, It's quite a lot going on in there. I wanted it to be haunting. I wanted it to like not leave people's memories, so that it's there and it's a little bit haunting.
Yeah, it felt like in a way, felt like a ballad to me, and it might be, because of it's basically accompanied only by a guitar for the most part.
Yeah.
An acoustic guitar, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
And so it has a ballad feel, but then when you start listening, you go like, whoa, this is a serious story.
It builds up into something else, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got chills.
Wow, thank
Still
you.
get chills.
It's really flattering.
Well, I've heard it 100 times and I still get it.
It's so nice when people give you feedback that's positive. That's good. I like that. Well, guitar's my main instrument, so I guess I wanted to start that song with the guitar, and then I brought those other elements into it and just built it up. I like experimenting with different sounds.
So talk a little bit. Before we go out with "Pulling Me Under." Talk a little bit about your change into or your developing interest into electronic music, and where do you see yourself going with that?
Well, I've always been into and also influenced by electro music, particularly bands like Depeche Mode and.
You did a Depeche Mode cover. You covered Heaven, didn't you?
Yes,
I heard that one too. Yeah.
Love Depeche Mode. They've been a huge influence on me. But it wasn't really until I set up my own studio that I had access to a way of recording more electro stuff. I started off just with a 8-track digital. That's how I used to record my demos. And then obviously work with my producer to do the Strawberry sessions. Then between the Strawberry sessions and Illustrial album, I set up my own studio. So I've got a Mac and I use Logic. And with Logic comes a load of amazing instruments. So that gave me the means to sort of produce more electro-based stuff. But it's not just the synthy sounds. There's so many different awesome instruments in Logic. And I just set myself a challenge of finding 2 opposing instruments and trying to make them work together. That's how I ended up with my love of marimba. There's quite a lot of marimba on my tracks. Alice starts with the marimba as well. But so it was just having the means to produce it, really. I guess after working in the studio, it's a completely different experience going and working with a producer, also very expensive. And I kind of thought, I'm going to use that money and put it into building myself a studio. And that's what I did. I've always been interested in music production, in the production side of things as well. So it kind of just all came together.
Heather, would you want to say something about the fundraising you have been doing in memory of your uncle who passed away some time ago?
Oh, yeah, sure. We lost my uncle last year after a pretty traumatic battle with cancer, which unfortunately, that's the way of the illness. And he was a folk musician and bluegrass musician. He was also a teacher up in York, very well known. Absolutely amazing, inspirational person who touched so many lives. And when he was in the hospice, they very kindly allowed him to record a last album. So his musicians from his band, Osler's Dog, actually came into the hospice, and that's where they recorded the CD. and there was a fundraising event, as you probably saw on my social network pages, in memory of him, where musicians got together to play. And now we have a page where his musical legacy is going to live on. You can buy the folk CD, you can buy the CD on there, and all the funds are going to the hospice that cared for him so well.
So
Great.
where is this? Where can people go?
So if you Google Ostler's Dog, which is OSTLERS, Ostler's Dog, they have a Twitter page and a Facebook page, or you can Google Stephen Kenwright Memorial Trust. That should come up as well.
Wonderful.
Thanks.
Hey, Heather,
Fantastic.
thanks so much for spending some time with us today.
It was great.
It's been a real privilege, and we got to meet you and we got to talk to you, and our lives are richer for it. Thank you so much.
I would like to obviously just say thanks so much to you guys and to everybody out there that's been supportive of my music and continues to listen and give me feedback and stuff like that. I really appreciate it. Thanks. And I've got 2 new backing singers.
Yeah.
Hey, and a musical to write. Thanks so much, guys. That was great. Thanks very much for having me on your show. I really enjoyed it.
So why don't we ride out on Pulling Me Under? We're here with Heather, Strobe Girl, and you can visit her SoundCloud page. I am Strobe, so check that out. And also you can find her on Bandcamp and on Twitter. And this is an acoustic song, one of my favorites of hers, called Pulling Me Under. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
There was a time when our love was new. There wasn't a thing that I wouldn't do. Beg and borrow and steal and lie. I wouldn't have our love denied. But now you're pulling me under with you. Deeper and deeper with you. Times moved on and we grew, who knew this path would colour me blue. So time moved on and it's true, who knew what I would have to face with you. 'Cause now you're pulling me under with you. Deeper and deeper, it's true. You're pulling me on.